and a professional management team. With this, I would like to hand over to the moderator. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, sir. I now invite Mr. Ashwini Kumar, Group CEO, to take you through the presentation. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Gaurav. Welcome to all my media colleagues to this presentation of rights issue. So basically, we have divided the presentation into three areas. The industry outlook, what is the industry outlook going forward? What are the strengths of Suzlon? And finally, the details of the rights issue. Next slide. Now, our national government of India has put very ambitious target, which can be summarized into 5 pillars. So those 5 pillars are 500 gigawatt of non-fossil energies by 2030, which is around 8 years from now, 1 billion ton reduction in carbon emission, net zero by 2070, 45% reduction by 2030, and 50% renewable energy mix by 2030, which is currently below 15%. These are all ambitious targets, but these open up huge opportunities for all the renewable energy players in the country. Next. Yeah. So basically, renewable energy in India, if you see by capacity installed, is mainly from 2 sources, wind and solar. If you see the targets that the government has put up for 500 gigawatts, next. It means that from current 40 gigawatts of wind, we will reach 140 gigawatts of wind, which is 100 gigawatts of capacity addition over the next few years. What is also important is that power supplied to grid from renewables will reach 40%, which is a major impact. The government has already come out with various policy supports and bidding activities to make sure that these targets are achieved. Meanwhile, while the government has set these targets for grid-connected power, there are new business segments which are opening up for companies like Suzlon. These are results of current geopolitics, where there's a lot of emphasis on energy securities, the increase in coal prices and currency volatility, and therefore there is whole C&I segment which we used to do from their captive segment run by coal and other fuels. They want to get a strong momentum in green power. Green power for C&I segment will be a combination as a hybrid project for wind and solar, given the wind has a much higher PLF than other competing sources. The future, both in the bidding segment as well as in all other segments, is going to be either hybrid power or what they call is round-the-clock RTC power. So that would basically mean that for wind energy, the bright future going forward to 2030 is envisaged. In addition to that, the wind energy started in India around 99-2000 in a reasonably big way. And there is those turbines also give us a huge opportunity for repowering those turbines. And it is expected that over the next 8 years, around 20 gigawatts, 20,000 megawatt of existing capacities will need rebuilding. Next. As I said, government has already made a lot of policy announcements. They have done a target for replacement of thermal energy of around 30,000 megawatts, and they've gone station by station how much each station has to put up renewable energy. There is also an in-principle decision to stop electronic reverse auction, which would mean a faster decision as well as more reasonable tariffs. Issue of electricity rules through open access, which opened up the movement of green energy between the states, has also been issued by the government of India and now subsequently by the regulator. The time extension, considering COVID and monsoon related, has been happening over time to time. And state level, I'm just giving a Maharashtra example, though such examples are in other states also. Most of the states are now trying to encourage green investment in their states and putting policies which will help in setting up green wind as well as solar and other renewable energies in their state. Coming to what it means for Suzlon and where are we placed to take advantage of the opportunity that the industry offers. Suzlon, as some of you may be aware, is 19,400 megawatt of installed wind energy capacity. We have 33% cumulative market share in India. That is right from beginning till now. We are present 17 countries in most of the continents, and I will tackle that in little detail. And we have a very strong workforce of 5,500 experienced professionals in wind industry. The key differentiators that Suzlon provides is we are end-to-end service provider. So we are not only manufacturer of turbines, we do provide the balance of plant, other services, and OMS services. So we are end-to-end service provider. Once a customer comes to us, we will take care of not only providing him the wind turbine at the best sites, but also operating it over the life of the project. We are pan-India present. So we are present in all the windy states. Our technology leadership is well known in the industry. And that is mainly because being the largest player in India, we are actually designing turbines for Indian wind conditions. So our turbines are made for India, made by Indians, and made by the Indian company Suzlon. Our service capabilities are best in class. We have strong customer relationship, and I will actually give you some of the names of the other customers that we have had, repeat customers, more of them. And something which no one can ever match, we have a 27 years track record, and we know this segment better than anybody else. As I said, globally, we are in 17 countries. We have installed turbines in developed countries like USA, in Australia, in Europe, in Brazil, and other South American countries, and South Africa. So we have presence in all continents of the world. And of course, being an Indian company, our domination is in Asia. Some of the prime customers, as you can see, they are a mix of strategic, I would say, the utilities, like you see NL, you see Semcop. These are large global utilities. There is large Indian utilities, and there is large industrial customers from ACC to Aditya Birla to Hero. And of course, there are the fund-based investment like BlackRock and Brookfield, which are there. So anybody who's come into renewable in any reasonable way has been our customers. And as we can be seen in our past few announcements, most of them just repeat their business with us. We take immense pride in being an Indian company. We have had manufacturing base, 20 plus factories across India. We have our main nacelle plant in Daman. We also have tower plants and blade plants, which are spread across Rajasthan, Maharashtra, Gujarat, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh. And as can be seen, some of these photographs, which clearly show our technological leadership and the precision work that our manufacturing plant does. We have also made sure, because of our 27-year history, that we have developed the whole ecosystem of various vendors and component manufacturers within India. That has led to a significant export by Indian manufacturers, Indian component manufacturers, and even the global manufacturers with plants in India. Our current capacity is 3,150 megawatt, which is based on our current long-running model of 2.1 megawatt each. As we move, since we have already launched the 3 megawatt model, in a phased manner, this capacity will increase to 4,500 megawatt. Thanks. We have been, as I said, developing technologies for the Indian conditions almost regularly. We had our flagship S111, which had a rotor diameter of 111 meters and a hub height of 120 meters. We improved upon it and made the rotor diameter longer blades of 120 meters rotor diameter and a hub height also of 140 meters. The higher you go, the more wind there is, and therefore the over more generation for the same price, a similar price of the turbine. And therefore it will ultimately reduce the cost of energy for the customer. We have recently launched the S144, which is 144 meter rotor diameter and a hub height of 160 meters, which is the tallest turbines in India and which we have already installed. Now coming to our other part of the business, which is our operations and maintenance services business. We have 15.9 gigawatts of operating capacity, which is assets under management of $12 billion of our customers' assets that we manage ourselves. We have 9,600 different locations, which each turbine is a location which is separate from others. And of course, we have 191 sites. So each cluster of these turbines we classify as sites wherever they are going into transmission connectivity. We have 1,900 plus customers, and we have a team of 3,300 plus. As I said, we have 33% of India's capacity and 15% of all India's renewable capacity. The state-wise division is given. Gujarat is our largest state, followed by Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra, and Rajasthan. Next, please. Now I hand over to our CFO, Himanshu, for the details of the rights issue.
Thank you, Ashwini. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'll just take you through the brief synopsis of the rights issue. As Dharmesh Bhai said earlier, the total rights issue size is 1,200 crores, which is split in 240 crore new shares at 5 rupees per share. The entitlement ratio is 5:21, which essentially means that for every 21 shares held currently by the shareholder, there are 5 rights entitlement that the shareholder gets. The record date for the rights issue was October 4th, 2022. And the face value of the share is 2 rupees per share, which translates into about 480 crore rupees at face value. And the security premium is 3 rupees, which is a 720 crore security premium. Currently, it's a partly paid up share. So on application at this stage, we are only calling for 2.5 rupees per share, which essentially means that assuming the rights issue is fully subscribed for, then 600 crores is the inflow into the company at this stage. And we've kept the balance half for subsequent calls in the future. This is the timeline for the record for the rights issue. As I mentioned, record date is already passed, 4th of October. The last date of credit of rights entitlement, which should have happened yesterday in all the shareholders' accounts, has taken place. And today at 9 a.m., the rights issue got open, which is 11th October. Last date of on-market renunciation of the rights entitlement is 14th October, which is this Friday. So essentially, that gives all the shareholders 4 days to either sell or buy further rights entitlements. And the issue closing date is Thursday, which is 20th October. So the rights issue is open for a total of about 10 days from today. This is the objects of the issue. Out of the 1,200 crores, our estimated issue expenses is about 16.5 crores for issue management expenses, leaving us net proceeds of 1183.5. Of the 1183.5, the end use is 900 crores, as our chairman mentioned, to repay our existing debt that we have from the existing lenders, plus about 283.5 crores for general corporate purposes. So again, assuming full subscription on the rights issue at this stage, we would be able to repay 583.5 crores to our lenders by end of the month. And subsequently, on subsequent calls, would be the residual amount. Next slide. So that's a very short presentation from our side. And with this, I would now like to open the floor for question and answers. Gaurav, you may please back over to you, and you can open the floor for Q&A, please. Thank you.
Thank you, sirs. We'll now open the floor for the Q&A session. While we wait for the question queue to build up, I'd like to remind everyone to post their queries in the Q&A panel. The first question: how is Suzlon technology poised as compared to the other competition in this sector in India?
Yeah. So thanks for the question. Suzlon has always been a technology-focused company. Our technology headquarters are based out of Germany and Netherlands. We always believed that we have an edge because our main business is India. We can actually design our turbines for Indian wind conditions, which are very different than the global wind conditions. So therefore, technology-wise, we are very, very competitive with all our competition and global majors. And we have not seen any, I would say, negative feedback from our customers as far as Suzlon technology is concerned.
Thank you, sir. The next question is from Mr. Dilip Davda, consulting editor, chittorgarh.com. What will be your debt outstanding after the rights issue?
So, as I mentioned, if you see our quarter Q1 filings, our debt was approximately 3,200 crores. And, assuming a full subscription of the rights issue, we would be able to immediately pay 583.5 crores to our lenders. So I'll leave the math to you, and of course, the subsequent call would be another 300 crores, which would happen at a future date.
Thank you. Next question from Mr. Davda again. What is your market share in the WTG segment?
Yeah, so our cumulative market share is 33%. Even in the SECI bids, which have happened over the last few years, our market share has been close to 25%. We expect with the financial issues getting over of the company, we expect to gain our market share back to overall levels.
Thank you, sir. The next question from Mr. Davda again. Could you please share your extraordinary income for Q1 of FY23?
So I do not have the numbers in front of me, but those will be on account of write back of certain long-dated instruments. So if you see the FY22 balance sheet, there were certain long-dated instruments by way of OCDs and CCPS that the company had on its books as of March 22, which as a result of the refinancing which got done in May 2022, were written back in the Q1 of FY23. So that is the large portion of the extraordinary income or write back in the books.
Thank you, sir. Next question. What is your current order book looking like?
Yeah. So our Q1 order book was 690 megawatts. Subsequently, we have announced to the public another large order of 180 megawatt. So that could be considered our order book today, 690 plus 180. So it's on more than 850 megawatt plus.
Thank you, sir. The final question from Mr. Davda. Why is the promoter holding declined, and what will it be after this rights issue?
So the promoter holding is not declined. I mean, it is actually, you can say that, every shareholder's holding has declined because there was, as a result of the conversion into, there was certain bond outstanding that got converted for which new shares were issued. Also to our exiting lenders as a result of the refinancing in May, there was certain fresh issuance of capital wherein the OCDs and CCPS got converted into listed shares of the company. So across board, all shareholders of the company saw a proportionate dilution, and the promoter holding would be no different to that extent. As a result of the rights issue, there will not be any dilution in the promoter holding because the promoters have confirmed their participation to the extent of their holding in the rights issue. So there would not be any further dilution to their holding.
Thank you, sir. The next question is from Vivek Iyer from CNBC Group. And this is a question that has come from a couple of other participants as well. For the benefit of the audience, could you please give a status of the pre-rights issue debt and what it will be after the rights issue?
So pre-rights issue debt, as I said in the Q1 FY23 results that we announced as part of the IR presentation, which is available on the website, is approximately 3,200 crores. As a result of post-rights issue, as I said, 583.5 crores would be repaid to the existing lenders, assuming that there is full subscription on the rights issue. So you can subtract 583.5 from 3,200 crores, plus, of course, the scheduled repayment. So that would be the debt. Our H1 results or Q2 results will be available. We will be convening a board meeting just after Diwali. So of course, the debt numbers would be available for the markets to see in end of October or early November, as and when we can convene the Q2 board meeting.
Thank you, sir. The second part of Vivek's question, what do you expect the interest cost savings to be?
So again, it's our existing debt of 3,200 crores is at about 9.5%. So you can again do the math on about a 10% saving on approximately 600 crores. That would be the annual saving for the company on immediate basis, assuming a full subscription to the rights.
Thank you. Next question is from Geeta Nair of AV. What percentage of old turbines could be renewed, and without tax incentives, will there be interest in investing in this arena?
So, in theory, all the wind turbines which were installed long back in early 2000 can be repowered because those were very high wind sites, and therefore the turbines were put in those locations. In terms of the regime, while the tax advantage was there when these were originally set up, today's wind market, as we discussed, is comprising of the Government of India's target of renewable energy, which is done through SECI bids. There is a CNI segment, and the retail segment continues. So all of these are not predominantly driven by taxes, and they have still been a lot of capacity additions in the recent years. So we expect most of these sites will be repowered. We have already, as I said, started identifying this as a potential area going forward.
Thank you, sir. Next question from Chitranjan Kumar of Fortune India. Will there be any management change post the sad demise of Tulsi Bai? And how does the company plan to pare debts going ahead?
So my request is that we limit the line of questioning for this forum, to the rights issue, which is why this press conference has been convened. But nevertheless, to that question, whatever changes to the or reconstitution to the board needed to be done were announced by the company at its board subsequent to its board meeting on Friday. So that is publicly available, and the new board members are with us today. To your second question, how do we plan to pare down its debt? I think after the rights issue, we'll have a much healthier, leaner balance sheet, and the operational cash flows of the company are more than sufficient to be able to service the residual debt that we have based on the scheduled repayment of the debt.
Thank you, sir. Next question from Rachita Prasad from Money Control. What is the outlook on project execution in India, given that it has slowed down due to GIB, delays by customers, and some other issues?
So, the project execution actually in India has slowed down, and some other factors, what you're saying is correct. But I think so the government now, both at the central level, at the state level, I have put this big ambitious vision in front of all of us, and even the policy structure is now favoring project execution with minimum of disruptions. In terms of specific issues that you have raised, I think so the government is taking proactive measures to ensure those are tackled both at a policy level as well as implementation level, because to do 140 gigawatts of wind energy over till 2030 would require these enablers. We are very happy that government is working towards it, and we will partner with them to ensure that the project execution of our projects happen on time and without disruptions.
Thank you, sir. Next question. There is always a conversation of solar versus wind. What is Suzlon's view on this?
So I think so solar and wind, unlike I would say perception with some of the people, they are not competing against each other. India needs a lot of renewable energy, and solar plus wind is the way to go. And there are various reasons for it. One of the simple reason is that the energy requirement from green energy, our ambitious targets, will require capacity additions from both the sources. Second, when you see the demand of electricity, it is not only during the period when solar projects are generating power. It is also in the evenings, over the night, and round the clock. And therefore, to increase the plant capacity or the plant load factor, PLF, of green power, it is solar plus wind, which is the way to go. If you see some of the recent auctions by the government, by SECI, has been the hybrid auctions or pure wind auctions, which is to clearly giving the indication that the government wants both these sectors to develop, and both the capacity additions are independently defined in our renewable goals set up by government. Otherwise, the whole of 500 gigawatt could be from any sources. But government realizes because of grid stability, our demand requirements, and the complementary generation of wind and solar, both the sources will be the key sources for renewable energy going forward in India.
Thank you, sir. The next question is from Geeta Nair again. Could you please give us a breakup of the remaining debt and what is the maturity of this debt?
So the majority of the residual debt will be approximately about 8 years, through monthly or quarterly repayment cycles. And I think the residual debt I've answered in the past, but again, for benefit of Geeta, it is Q1 debt was about 3,200 crores, and assuming full rights subscription, we'll immediately be able to pay down 583.5 crores.
Thank you, sir. The next question is from Rachita Prasad. What will be the interest payment per month and the average rate of interest once you've repaid the debt from the rights issue proceeds?
So approximately, as I said, we will end up saving close to about 60 crores straight away on an annual basis. So my estimated interest cost per annum would be about 250 crores odd on a going forward basis. That is doing a simple math of reducing the debt that we have as of Q1 minus the rights issue proceeds and a 10% saving on it.
Thank you, sir. The next question is from Lalatendu Mishra of The Hindu. On the rights issue, how confident are you to pull it off this time?
We were always confident, and we are even more confident. I think our, we are even more resolute now that we will make this a success. And I think if any last few hours of market trading is anything, then I'm fairly sure that we will make the rights issue a full success.
Thank you, sir. Next question. Could you please elaborate what is the CNI segment? There was a policy which was passed recently on this. How are you best positioned to leverage this segment?
So this is a very important segment which is just been opening up. Till now, the purchaser of renewable energies used to be predominantly the distribution companies who would buy it either directly or through auction or through SECI bids at national level. In addition to that, you could put up smaller capacities or let's say smaller capacities of renewable energy to use it as long as both the generation as well as the consumption were in the same state. Recently, government realized that in case it needs to move towards energy security as well as to give push to renewable energy, it has passed various policies and rules. Under those policies, you can generate renewable energy in one state and consuming it in other state. In fact, government to promote this has also made the transmission charges for interstate transmission as nil, provided those capacities come up before a certain deadline. What this does is that, as explained in the presentation, the wind generation was only in 8 states, mostly at the west coast of India, while some of the major industries who need power were in other states which were not part of these 8 states. And they were finding it difficult to put renewable energy, including wind energy, in their own states. These policies, what they've enabled is that you can set up the wind and solar and whole of renewable energy in any of the states where the wind and solar is good, transmit the power over national grid, and use it in your manufacturing works or a smelter or a mining industry in some other state. This has opened a completely new segment in terms of both size as well as in terms of the customer segment to the renewable manufacturers. And we already seen some offshoots of this, and we think that this government policies would encourage many of these people who were unable to set up renewable energy capacities or buy renewable energy power to be able to do that, and which also not only, I would say, makes their energy cost pretty, I would say, pretty standardized without any volatility of coal prices or oil prices, which was their predominant source so far, but also gives them a green energy user, which will be good in their own businesses too.
Yeah, and just to add a little bit in continuation to what Ashwini sir said, I think large portion of the energy procurement in renewable energy, which has been happening today, is happening by government bodies. So center is mostly buying and then supplying to the state grids. In this new policy, the C&I basically stands for commercial and industrial customers. So basically, the private sector now can directly build their projects. So we are seeing interest from large corporate houses, which are basically now big consumers of electricity, who are interested to put up their own projects of renewable energy and also, work towards their own carbon footprint initiatives which they have. And with the interstate possibilities, now any industry across the country can put up renewable energy projects anywhere in the country, since transmission is permitted across states. So this opens up the whole private sector market in a significant way also.
Thank you, sir. Next question from Geeta Nair. What will be the impact of the new tariff regime, which is brought in by the end of electronic reverse auction?
So over the past few years, the e-reverse auction was the method of allocation of project. So what the SECI used to call is the bids, where people will give tariffs, what they can achieve. But in the end of the first bid, there would be electronic reverse auction. And what we observed is that a lot of people seeing those reverse auctions actually lowered their initial tariffs which they had bid. We believe that the end of ERA regime, as and when it's implemented by the government, would one make the process a little faster, because once the bid is submitted, immediately you would know who's the lowest and therefore the winning bidder. And two, will also ensure that people do not, just to compete with each other, do not work on some irrational ways which may or may not make the projects viable. So we think it's a good step by the government, and doing that for wind projects, as has been was announced by the Secretary of MNRE, is a step in the right direction for renewable energy.
Thank you, sir. The next question is from Mr. Dilip Davda, consulting editor, Chittorgarh.com. It is well accepted as an industry norm that wind energy is cheaper and can be generated for all 24 hours against solar, which can only be generated during the day. Your aspect.
Sorry, Gaurav. So what is the question? I mean, that's a statement, but what is the question?
So Mr. Davda has asked for your take on wind and solar in established norms on the industry, given that wind is available 24 hours and solar is only generated during the day.
Yes, so we tend to agree with his observation, and that is one of the reasons why in any renewable energy plans, not only in India but across the world, wind will always have a role to play, and has also been one of the reasons why capacity addition of wind globally has been going in a reasonable pace. In India, as we said, for some reasons, it was not done for the past few years, but now the push from the government will enable that to happen. So completely agree that wind is a predominantly strong component of any renewable energy strategy by any country or even as a globally going forward.
And actually, if you see, just continuing to this dialogue, they actually complement very well to each other. So while solar is very powerful during the day, during the mornings, evenings, and night, then wind kicks in. So I think that's the primary reason that government has now decided, and we are seeing that from all the bids that have come out in the recent past, they are mainly for hybrid projects, which primarily means wind and solar together. And together, I think they can perform even stronger in terms of the performance and delivery of larger energy into implementation. So that's the trend that is happening, that more and more wind and solar will go hand in hand going forward for our country.
Thank you, sir. In the same light, there's a question by Geeta Nair. So will you invest in solar projects?
Yeah, so we have had a experience of setting up turnkey solar projects a few years back. We would, I would say, we are predominantly currently focused on wind manufacturing, wind capacity addition, and wind operations and maintenance services.
But as an organization, we have capabilities to do the solar projects also. And we have done about 500 megawatts already. And, depending upon how things go, we have the capabilities to do the solar also.
Thank you, sir. The next question is on the rights issue. What happens if the rights issue is not fully subscribed? Is there any downside to it?
So firstly, I see the probability of that happening is very, very minimal. Having said that, in the theoretical chance that such an event happens, the good part about our rights issue is that there is no minimum threshold. So unlike some of the other end use clauses, which have a threshold of at least 90% subscription level, we are not bound by that. So out of the 1,200 crores, no matter what the amount has been subscribed to, the company would have the right to take those funds and close the rights issue. So there is no minimum subscription threshold that the company is bound by.
Thank you, sir. Next question. Your letter of offer mentions that you will be monetizing non-core assets and business divisions. Could you please explain?
So there are a few non-core assets that have been identified, the management and the board of the company. So upon completion of the rights issue, of course, as I said, we will be, the board of the company would be meeting towards end of this month or early November to consider and approve the Q2 results. Certainly, the sort of fate and next steps to be initiated on those non-core assets and the timelines within which they should be divested, if at all, would be considered by the board, and appropriate announcements in the marketplace would be made at the right time.
Thank you, sir. We're coming to the last few questions now. The next question. How are you planning to expand your O&M service business in India?
So our one of the big things, because we offer integrated services, is that O&M business automatically grows by the capacity additions that our wind turbine manufacturing does. So whatever capacity additions that we do, we also do it. We also operate and maintain those turbines going ahead during their OMS period. In addition, we have had a focus of having a part of our OMS business based on multi-make, where we take turbines of other manufacturers also and offer operations and maintenance services for them. That segment has recently started, and we have a small capacity where we manage those. So we see our growth in OMS come both from growth in capacity addition by Suzlon itself, as well as a growth in multi-brand OMS business.
Value-added services.
In addition to that, as part of our operations for our existing customers, we keep innovating and doing R&D on what are the value-added services, which is in addition to their regular fees that we can offer to improve their performance of their turbine. And sale of those value-added services is also part of our growth, both in terms of revenue as well as profitability.
Thank you, sirs. We've come to the last question for this session. The question is from Geeta Nair. Is the energy crisis in Europe an opportunity for the company immediately and in the future?
I think so. There's no direct relationship with energy crisis, but overall, what this energy crisis has done is made every country to think about energy security. And one thing which is a major part which plays in energy security is renewables, because that is one source which is available within your country. And you do not have to import the raw material, whether it is wind or solar or something else. So this is basically, it has made everybody to think that earlier where energy was being imported, now people said that self-reliance on energy, both electricity as well as other forms of energy, is become a big focus for most governments across the world. So to that extent, we see that as increasing the renewable markets worldwide and also in India, where India was, of course, has already announced the policies, and hence that is a positive impact I would see from the energy crisis.
Thank you, sir. That brings us to the end of the Q&A session. I now invite the Executive Vice Chairman of Suzlon Energy Limited, Mr. Girish R. Tanti, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of Suzlon Energy, I would like to extend my gratitude to all the members of the media for their participation in today's engagement. We at Suzlon continue to remain committed in capitalizing our rich history and the strong foundation that our beloved chairman Tulsibai has tirelessly built. Tanti family and the management team remain fully committed in driving the vision of the company as set out by Tulsibai and take it to newer heights. We have always received very good support from the media, who have diligently carried all our stories to their readers and viewers. We sincerely thank you all for your time today and hope that you carry today's development and the things that we have shared to our 22 lakh plus shareholders and the larger audience that your viewership takes to. Thank you all once again. Thank you for attending today's meeting.
Thank you, sirs, and thank you all for joining the virtual press meet of Suzlon Energy Limited. Unfortunately, there were some questions we could not take up due to paucity of time, but we will be reaching out one-on-one to provide answers to them. If you have any further questions, please email us at communications@suzlon.com and we'll do our best to reply to your queries at the earliest. Thank you, take care, and stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.